Hello, bonjour, welcome. Okay, so chapter 13 talks about using the gerund versus the infinitive. And whenever I teach this chapter, I actually teach it a little differently from the book. Um, you can always rely on the rules that they give you in the box in the book, but I have some really amazing, like easy rules that you can memorize. And for me, I find, and my students have found in the past, that it helps. It's really easy to remember which to use if you just memorize these rules, okay? So let's take a look. So what is the gerund? The gerund is verb ing, right? Going, walking, seeing, doing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we have three ways or three rules that we would, or instances where we would use the gerund. We'd use the gerund as the noun, so as the subject or object of the sentence. On the next slide, I'm going to give you some examples of these. We use it after a preposition, and we use it after certain verbs. So there are specific verbs that always take the gerund after if you're using a verb. And we will, you can see the list of those on page 342. Okay? People always ask me, Miss, are those the only verbs? No, they are not the only verbs, but they're the only verbs that we will be looking at in this course, so they're the only ones that you'll find on the quiz, okay? Okay, so here's some examples of using the gerund as a noun. Traveling by car takes longer than traveling by plane, right? So here traveling is the subject of the sentence and it's also the object, okay? So I want to talk about like the idea of this action. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables is necessary to be healthy. So if I ask you what's the subject of the sentence, the subject is eating lots of fruits and vegetables. It's the idea, right? Learning a second language can make you more creative. This is true, actually. So you guys are all really lucky. You speak 2 languages. Some of you guys might even speak 3 languages, which would make you extra creative. Sandra prefers watching films to reading books, right? So we're talking once again about the idea of the action, okay? All right, then we also have after prepositions. I misspelled preposition, sorry. But a preposition, right? It's a word that connects a verb to a noun, right? At, around, because, no, that's not a preposition. That's a conjunction. Like, towards, about. These are all examples of prepositions. Okay, here's some examples. I'm tired of staying home all the time. My sister is worried about taking her driving exam. We were exhausted from working all day. Sarah is interested in cooking. I won't forgive you for telling my secret. Okay, so these are all examples of prepositions where verb ing or the gerund goes after the preposition. Okay, so the last example is after some verbs, and you can find this box in your book on page 342, right? And we have a bunch of examples of different sentences. I enjoy working in my garden, right? Not I enjoy work, or not I enjoy to work, I enjoy working, okay? They discussed getting a new car, okay, right? Discuss, that means kind of like talk about, right? Verb ing. They have some examples here also of what we call phrasal verbs. So what a phrasal verb is you put a verb with a preposition and it creates a new meaning, right? For example, put, right? If we look at G, put off, right? The verb put means typically to place something somewhere, right? But put off means to postpone or procrastinate, right? To do something later, okay? So I guess it doesn't really matter which rule you follow here, because for both instances, if you're just using it for this specific verb or if you're using it after a preposition, you're going to be using the gerund either way, okay? So once again, my 3 rules for using the gerund are 1, as a noun, 2, where are my hands? 2, after a preposition, and 3, after certain verbs, the verbs on page 342, okay? All right, so the infinitive. Infinitive is to plus the base form. To see, to work, to live, to dance, to study, to drive. We use to after adjectives. Once again, I'll give you examples on the following slides. We use to give a reason. Why am I doing something? And we use to also after some verbs. This is on page 346. Okay, so here's some examples of after adjectives. I'm excited to go on vacation. It's important to study before exams. We are embarrassed to ask you for help. Russian is difficult to learn, and it is necessary to stay home these days, right? Okay, to give a reason, why am I doing something? We are studying, why? To prepare for the exam. I am calling to ask you a favor. He exercises every day to stay healthy, and she made a cake to surprise you, okay? So all of these are giving the reason for doing a certain action, okay? And then finally, we have on page 346, box 3.3, after some verbs. And once again, there are more verbs in this that we would use the infinitive with, but these are the most common, okay? So I would recommend that you just memorize these verbs, okay? All right, so just to review or to recap, why do I use the gerund? I use the gerund as a noun, the subject or the object of a sentence. If I want to talk about the idea of the verb, I want to give more information about this action. After a preposition, and what was the last one? After some verbs, you got it, okay. And then the infinitive, right? Why would I use the infinitive? I use the infinitive after adjectives. I use the infinitive to give a reason, and I use the infinitive after some verbs, okay? So I would write these down, or I would take a screenshot of these and just memorize these rules. They're simple rules and they will help you so much, okay? They make it really clear. All of the rules that they teach you in the book can be summarized with these rules right here, okay, in a shorter and easier way. All right, so let's do a little bit of practice with this. I'm going to give you a sentence and you need to tell me, should I use the gerund or should I use the infinitive? So first sentence, I'm going to the store, some milk, and the verb is get. Should I use the gerund or the infinitive? I will here use the infinitive. I'm going to the store to get some milk, right? Why? Rule number 5, to give a reason. Okay. Next one. After she finished breakfast, Hanan cleaned the kitchen. After she finished making breakfast, Hanan cleaned the kitchen. Okay? Gerund, why? After some verbs. Finish is one of the verbs that we always use the gerund after. I was terrified. Drive for the first time. I was terrified to drive for the first time. Terrified is an adjective, okay? So that's rule number 4. Everyone knows that is bad for your health. What do I use here? I use the gerund. Everyone knows that smoking is bad for your health. So in this sentence, I have an adjective clause. Smoking is bad for your health, right? And it's describing a fact that everybody knows. Everybody knows something. What is something that everybody knows? Smoking is bad for your health. Here it's a noun. Rule number 1, right? Using the verb as a noun. Saudis are very generous, mashallah, and they always insist on paying when you go out to eat with them, right? So why did I use the gerund here? Because it came after a preposition. You insist on, right? That means you say, no, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I absolutely think that it must be this way, right? I insist. Okay, patient is very important if you are working with small children. Being patient is very important if you are working with small children, right? Once again, this is the verb as a noun. It's the subject of the sentence, the idea of being patient. My cousin decided a used car instead of a new one. My cousin decided to buy a used car. We're using this because it's after some verbs. After decide, we always use the infinitive. Okay, it is fun with friends. What do we have here? What part of speech is fun? Fun is an adjective, so I would use it is fun to travel with friends, right? After adjectives, number 4. Okay, Tala postponed her speeding ticket for too long and she got another fine. Uh-oh. All right, postpone is one of those verbs, right? Postpone paying that we always use the gerund after. Rule number 3, okay? I called my grandma, check on her. I called my grandma to check on her. I'm giving a reason. Rule number 5. Shannon is really good at dancing, right? It's after a preposition. Rule number 2. All right, so for this, in order to help you remember all of these rules, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. I'll post it on Blackboard. I need you to write for me 2 sentences for each of the uses of the gerund and 2 sentences for each of the uses of the infinitive. So there are 3 rules for the gerund, okay? So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 sentences using the gerund and 6 sentences using the infinitive. This is 12 sentences altogether, and it is due by 11 p.m. on Tuesday, okay? So today's Monday, right? So tomorrow night, all right? All right, and that's it for the rules. I'll see you guys on the next video that is going over the exercises in the book to do a little bit more practice with this. And there are a couple other rules that they talk about there that aren't included in this, different types of grammar. Okay? All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye.